Yeah, the projector screen isn't working, so
Okay, all righty.
we'll be without that today. Shaner?
Here.
Scott?
Here.
Waters?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
O'Kane?
Here.
Can we stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll go to interviews for the Transit System Advisory Board. Don Kimmel. Don, come up and tell us a little bit about yourself, why you want to serve.
Hello, I'm Don Kimmel. I work with Simcoe. I'm interested in the Transit Board because I understand how the system works with funding and all of the things that lead to how it can be successful. But I also grew up using the bus, so I'm familiar with why it's important to be available to residents. And I really hope to encourage people to use it as a choice rather than a must-do. Any questions?
Yeah, questions?
Glad you made application, Don. Thank you.
Like your
I
quality.
think you'll be a good fit with your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No doubt.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Joel Marsh for Yamanashi Sister City. Hi, tell us a little bit of why you want to serve.
Japan has always been a place of interest for me, and when I found out we had a little sister city, that piqued my interest. Also, my son is in the Navy. He's stationed in Japan. So it's a way that I figure I can get closer to him and we can interact a little bit more.
Where's he at in Japan?
He's in Asage, which is, he said, Yamanashi is about an hour and a half from where he's at. He's 45 minutes from Tokyo.
Okay, yeah,
This
it's
is
a
his
train ride.
Yep, and this is his third tour there.
Okay. Cool.
Good.
Questions?
Any more questions?
I did want to address one thing. I noticed that you put down that you weren't available during the time when the committee typically meets. And I did just want to let you know that that is something that the committee votes on. So if you were to be appointed to the committee, you would have the opportunity to meet with everybody and find a time that would work out for everyone.
I do work at Bumgar's at the warehouse, and usually we work till 3:30, but I can scoot over just as quickly as possible because I work at the warehouse.
Well, it's good to hear.
No doubt.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much
it.
for your interest.
All right, thank you. We'll go to items 3 through 13C today, which are the consent agenda items. We will be voting on those as we go then, or we still vote on it as a consent?
One vote.
One vote. So you can consider them to pass unless a separate roll call vote's asked for. If you want to speak on an item on the agenda, please come up as I read that item. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizens' concern. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
3 is the reading of the City Council minutes of July 17, 2023. I will abstain on that. I was not here. 4 is a motion appointing Angela Drent to the Transit System Advisory Board. The City Council waives a policy that no person shall serve on more than one board or commission. 5 is a resolution adopting a street naming policy and application. 6 is a resolution fixing the fee on honorary street signs. 7 is a resolution amending Resolution 2023-0471, establishing the wastewater treatment plant reconstruction and design advisory committee by increasing the number of committee members from 15 to 22. Mr. O'Kane, you want to offer an amendment today?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to amend it to include 5 citizens.
Second that.
Which would mean we would be 25 when we're done. Okay. Been moved and seconded. Call the roll on the amendment.
Scott?
Abstain.
Waters?
I mean, I feel like I can support the addition. I want to have good qualified people. You're getting an awfully big group that will be fairly unwielding, or, I mean, that's difficult to serve in that capacity. If you're meeting with 25 people, I can't imagine a fourth of them want to answer any one question, but I believe that your heart is actually in the right place, or at least in the right place of wanting to make sure we have citizen representation, and we had a lot of great citizens that applied. So, aye.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Mayor,
8 is a resolution amending the.
Mayor.
Oh, yeah, on the, as amended, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Call it.
You can pass as amended as part of the consent agenda.
yeah, okay. Mayor, can I go back on an item? Check with Mr. Carney. Let's see, that was on 5 and 6, Dave, the application. Do we need to even talk about the
Yeah,
tweaks?
Dan had offered up some good changes to the application, just they're more wording changes. Instead of applicant, honoree, I'm trying to find the application here. And it should be under the geographical relationship of the street or the area, interest to the honoree, and that the person is in good moral standing, I think was the other one. Yep.
Adding that to the application.
I don't know if that needs to be an amendment or not.
No, I don't believe it does. Just correct it and have it entered into the record corrected.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, thanks, Mayor.
8 is resolution amending the statement of authorized personnel complement by deleting one utility worker position and adding a utility equipment operator in the Water and Underground Utilities Department. 9 is a resolution authorizing payment to Seawalls Contracting for the Lewis and Clark retaining wall replacement. 10 are actions relating to grants and donation. A is a resolution approving the application to the statewide Emergency Solutions Grant Program to provide street outreach to the homeless population. B is a resolution
have Amy?
authorizing.
Can we have Amy come up and talk about that?
Yep.
Homelessness is a real hot topic. And, and we're working hard to find some solutions. So can you explain what we're going to do with these funds?
Sure, I can. Amy Kearns, Neighborhood
they're recorded.
Services. And we work out of the outreach office for the city of Sioux City. It's at 521 Nebraska. So we are right in the mix of seeing a lot of people walking by our office, accessing the bus station as a place to sit for a while, or a lot of traffic. We're near the warming shelter. And so what we intend to do, we've done it before, we did it back in 2019. We're going to go out and do actual street outreach. So we'll have a couple of our staff, couple mornings, couple afternoons a week. They would go out with the funding from this grant and reach out to those who are not reaching out to us for services. There's some people who are service resistant, not interested in staying in the shelter, not interested in stopping by our office to get referrals or services. And so that's who we want to reach out to. So that's our plan.
And that'll pay the salaries of the outreach workers so that the city doesn't have to budget for it
Yes,
themselves, correct?
correct.
And
Yes.
what, if you want to give them a bottle of water or something
Yes.
like that while you're engaging with them, make them a little more comfortable?
Yep, we are allowed to purchase, as part of this grant, engagement items. We set aside a line for that, like water, maybe clean socks, whatever it is.
Right,
You want to build a relationship with people, especially those that are not reaching out for services. It takes a while to build that relationship and trust to get them to open up and try and figure out how you can best help, so.
We want to walk out and get back into reaching out to them where they're at.
Yes, yep, exactly.
So let me ask, because when we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
one thing that you've said is that there are a lot of barriers that are not covered under specific grant funding or where you can take from specific pots. Somebody losing their identification or losing their birth certificate, for instance. Does this offer us any flexibility in helping connect those individuals with state resources and getting those individuals actually in the building for appointments?
That is a great question, and one thing that is really hard that we struggle to find funding for is exactly what you just mentioned, IDs, things of that nature. They're very inexpensive. They don't cost a lot of money, $15 if it's local, but and birth certificates, And so we have applied for private funding grants. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. We currently don't have one, but we do have private donations right now. We're getting just to the end of those. So Jill in our office has been reaching out to a lot of other agencies to try and figure out who may have funding to pay for those type of things. So we're always looking, reaching out, trying to fill those gaps that exist. We're part of the continuum of care for the community. It covers both Woodbury County and Dakota County, Nebraska. And so we just had our meeting today. We meet every other month. All of the agencies come together. And at the end, we have a time where we can mention, like, what is our agency doing? What are our needs with our agency, to kind of brainstorm those things out and figure out how we can resolve those gaps.
I'm going to make you plug it here.
So that's okay.
If somebody wanted to privately donate to help
Yes.
out in some of these efforts, where would they go?
Okay, the website is Sioux City Community Assist.org, maybe? I think it's .org. But if you Google Sioux City Community Assist,
I think
yes.
there's a link on our webpage too.
There may be, and you can, it's so simple. You can use your credit card, you can donate via PayPal. We have someone who donates to us every single month. It's really helpful. And so, yeah, if anyone wants to do that. If you don't want to donate specifically to our cause, there's a list of other agencies and links to their website where you can go directly to those agencies who assist those who are experiencing homelessness. And you can donate to any of those agencies as well.
And I know for a while we were also accepting non-cash donations. Are we still doing that? Like apartment furnishings and things like that?
We aren't currently, we don't have the space to have that, but there are other agencies that do accept those, and when we are getting people in apartments through some of our other programs, we do reach out to those agencies and try and match people up with things that they might be in need of.
Which, utilizing those services, donating to them directly really is the best way to help those who are experiencing homelessness.
To the
It really is, to the
Yeah,
agency.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yep, they're all working together to try and do.
And you guys started doing intake, Sioux City did, in December?
We
Is that right?
did, December 1st.
Can you describe how that's been?
So what she's referring to is coordinated entry is the first line of contact for somebody who's experiencing homelessness if they are not service resistant, which is what we'll be working on with the outreach. So anyone experiencing homelessness can be referred to our office. They can stop by our office, call our office. Our staff, they'll either do an assessment right then or make an appointment. Most of the time we're making appointments because it's been really busy. And so then they'll have them come in. They take about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how quickly people are able to answer the questions. They do an assessment to try and figure out what their barriers are and how vulnerable they are out in the community. You know, if it's somebody who has a physical disability, they're pretty vulnerable. They're going to score a little bit higher, so we're going to try and help them more quickly. And how that works is we meet with agencies every other week to see if they have openings. Our office also has a program, Rapid Rehousing. So whoever has openings tells us, hey, we have openings in our program. We go down the list, starting at the top, those that are most vulnerable, see who we can refer to which program to get them into some services that can help them search for housing, work on getting their IDs if we haven't gotten to them yet, and all of those things to get them set up. So that's kind of how that process works.
Which can expedite help to people
Yes.
who are in need, and especially those, as you said, that are vulnerable.
And a lot of folks also are, they score lower, so they are less vulnerable. Some have income. They had no idea that we offered a security deposit program. Maybe that's all they need. Or they don't quite know how to access Section 8 or what that all entails. And so then we can work them through that process too.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes.
So this application is for the calendar year 2024 and 2025. Is
Yeah.
it the 2024 calendar year money that we could be using now in our fiscal year? Is that how that works?
It will start, if we're awarded, we will be able to start using the money January 1st, 2024, and it will last through December 3rd, 2024, and then we will automatically get the grant again if we're in good standing 2025 for that full calendar year. Does that answer your?
It does. How soon will you get an answer on whether the grant?
The grant is due tomorrow, so I'm hoping to hear within the next 30 days or so. I don't have an exact answer, but hopefully.
And my last question is, and you may have touched on this, Amy, so I apologize if I'm repeating, but these listening sessions you have written in the homework that they must take place before CDBG and Home Investment Partnership funds are released to the city. How does that tie in? Is that like a
Okay, sorry, I'm not,
is that a pre thing that has to be complied with, a pre-qualification?
can you tell me what section that is in?
It's
I'm
right
not
under
quite-
it's the first paragraph of the discussion.
Oh, okay, in the RCA. Oh,
Yeah, right?
yes.
Yes.
Yes, as part of our annual action plan every single year, in February and March, we conduct public hearings. We meet, because we are also part of Dakota County, so we meet with South Sioux, Dakota City, Sioux City. And then we also have meetings here in the council chambers where we send out notices and residents come, agencies come, and we try and figure out what the gaps are in Sioux City and how we can best use our federal funds. And so this is always brought up as part of that.
Okay.
Also, it's our regular action plan hearings. We usually have 2 hearings and 1 general meeting each year to try and give people enough opportunity to get their input into us. We send out surveys, we put information on our website. So that's kind of one of the ways that we find out what the community is thinking that we need to try and make things better.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Answers it.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
B is a resolution authorizing the police department to accept the methamphetamine drug hotspot grant funds for Office of Drug Control Policy. C is a resolution accepting the donation from Simcoe to purchase recreation equipment for the Chris Larson Park Riverfront Development Project. 11 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. Resolution approving a contract to Mark Albanesius for the Hamilton Boulevard Storm Sewer Replacement Project. B is a resolution approving renewal option number 1 with Hawkins for phosphate F-35. C is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the consulting services agreement with DGR Engineering for the Bacon Creek Dam Reconstruction Project.
Before we turn the page, is there anybody from PD here that could talk about their item B for the methamphetamine investigations?
What's that?
Oh, back on 10. You're back on 10.
10B.
Captain Bertrand. Question about the methamphetamine grant?
Yeah.
Okay. The grant is actually used to supplant any overtime. If we have any methamphetamine investigation-related case, we submit that overtime funding to the grant. That pays for the overtime related to methamphetamine investigation. So it's it has been traditionally a year-to-year thing. It is renewed annually. So we use it up every year. So it's basically saving the city that $10,000
Right.
in expense. And
And it's put towards manpower to investigate.
Yep,
crimes
investigate
with
anything
methamphetamine.
if it's meth-related police activity, that overtime or those funds can be put and drawn against that account. If you can see there, July 1, those funds are now available for use by the city, and we are already drawn down on those.
And if we didn't have this grant, you wouldn't be able to put those hours in, correct?
Or if they did put in, they would be against the city.
Right.
On the regular payroll, yep.
Well, the methamphetamine and the fentanyl business, it's just thriving, and so any overtime towards it, I think, is time really well spent. I hope we're
Yeah,
making.
and it is well used. It gets, the officers are aware of it, and the supervisors keep track of those specific investigations. And of course, we have specific units dedicated to drug investigations, so they're very much on top of utilizing these funds. And it also allows them to set up special projects and special initiatives to target hot spots that may pop up from time to time or just ongoing caseload.
Hot spots like maybe in a neighborhood?
Yeah, if we
or-
have a problem house that pops up that's causing a lot of problem, and we can direct activities toward that as well. If we can make a nexus to methamphetamine investigation, which usually we can.
Right, and this doesn't have anything to do with those shots, the Narcan, does it?
No.
It's not a special project that,
That'd be there is a separate, there is separate fentanyl grant funding that's available, but separate from this.
okay, all right, well, thanks so much.
You're welcome, thank you. Any other questions?
Good, thanks, Captain.
C is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the consulting services agreement with DGR Engineering for Bacon Creek Dam reconstruction project.
So this has a little bit of backstory up to this point.
Name and address, please.
Sorry, Sam Moose at 3655 Grandview, or not Grandview, well, it's been a long time. Crutchenville Road, Sioux City, Iowa. So this started, I'll try to be quick and precise as I can and clear as I can. This started 2 years ago when I bought the property. I bought this, which is approximately 4 or 5 acre pond. The pond was in really bad shape. It was leaking underneath the dam, has full of garbage. There's a couple cars, concrete tires, the whole works. I was referred to the NRCS in Sergeant Bluff, who is in charge of design and maintenance of the dams. They came out and inspected and saw and recognized the leak coming underneath. They brought in some engineers and brought in a geologist from Des Moines and took some soil samples and advised me to clear out all the garbage, the dead trees, the everything that was in there, all the 50 years worth of sediment, and get back down to clay, and then to take the clay from the hillside and line it, and they explained how to be done, and they have a website too with all the, and so that's the process went. So that I was working on that for about a year with the trees and garbage and everything. And then come last summer, towards the middle of the summer, and I don't have any dates on some of this stuff, so on the Jeff Hansen, a meeting with him was something else mentioned. Say, did you get a letter from the DNR about not being in compliance with the dam? And I was like, no, I said they were just out this week to inspect, which not realizing that's 2 different departments. And so I was like, I don't know what they'd be talking about. And but it was the NRCS that was out. And then about a month later, Jeff sent me the letter that the city received from the DNR saying that this secondary overflow that we filled with dirt as we were moving dirt and working on the dam needed to be cleared out, or the dam would be in, I don't know, be in violation or whatever it is so I got the letter.
The DNR said that?
The DNR said the letter that, and I think by this time, the city had it for a couple months, but Jeff did send it to me. I called Melissa Campbell, and she had to look up the project and looked it up and said okay, and talked about what happened, what we did, and and I needed to open it up. And she said, I said okay. She said I'll be back in 2 years to inspect, and I asked her to get a hold of engineering so that they realize that I've talked to you and that we're working, taking care of it. The next thing I'd say is probably a month or 2 later, without hearing anything, I got a stop work order from the city, which was a certified letter with whatever the letter that at that point the DNR put it in a non-compliance or that the dam was in violation. And at that point, I hadn't heard anything else till probably 2-3 months later in the spring. Was the first time I've heard anything officially from the city or from the engineering department. And a meeting that my wife went to, he gave a...
Sam, you're gonna have to wrap it up.
I'm trying. I'll give this to you. He gave a thing with a proposal saying that the repair is going to be $250,000, well, $208,000 plus the engineering's $40,000, and he was going to charge the engineering was going to charge me 25% of that total as administration fee. And so I wrote the DNR, and the whole time Gordon's saying this is all the DNR's requirements, all the DNR's requirements. And I broke down and asked him the question if these are the DNR's requirements or these Gordon's. And the very first one in the email, which I brought you one copy, so I asked him each point, and you can go through the point, but the biggest one here and most relevant today is I said, could you verify if these requirements are his or yours? And I asked, the hiring of the engineer at a price at that time was said to be $25,000. And at that time, the engineer had already been hired and was told that they were almost complete. I still don't understand. I still don't understand. Then it seems ridiculous amount of money, and it doesn't include a grading plan. Gordon required me to have my own engineer with a stamped drawing to do a grading plan to actually remove the dirt. So I don't even understand what the engineering that they for $40,000 did. He replied back, we did not require an engineer to design the work for this repair. Our requirement was put back to original design. I mean, I feel like if I did need an engineer, I should have been able to have my own engineer. And honestly, I think the best bet would have been to bring the NRCS that started this project with me. They have engineers. That's what they solely do is dam repairs, and they don't charge anything for their services. And the repair to remove that dirt was just over $10,000, and an engineering bill of $40,000, and then to be charged 25%. I feel Gordon has I feel like I've been treated unfairly and purposely targeted and retaliated against for some of the things that happened in the past, and I don't think it's right. I think it's to the point it's actually would be illegal.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, do you want to?
Gordon Fair, city engineer. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. $40,000 worth of engineering for $204,000 worth of work on dirt work is unbelievably high. That's 20%.
The first $25,000 of that was for the design of the actual and survey of the basin. They had to take a 1974 plans, find out where the baseline was. Once they did, they had to survey it and quantify all of the work that had to be done.
Would you, Sam, you had your chance. Let me have a minute now. We're going to do this in an orderly fashion. Was the ditch full of trees? Was the ditch full of old cars?
No idea. It was, all that work was done prior to us being involved.
Well, if we're in charge of the Bacon Creek Basin. Can I talk now?
Sure.
If we're in charge of the Bacon Creek Basin, which is what you're telling us by making him do this, and we're not doing any annual inspection to make sure that people in that valley are complying, then shame on us. If you can't tell me what's in that basin, then whose job is it?
That would be DNR's, and they did do their inspection both in let's see, this was in 22, so they did one in 21 and in 20 and 18, I think it was.
And we don't have any of their pictures
there was
of that dam?
no mention of any cars or...
Do they have any pictures of that dam and what was behind it?
Yes.
And there was nothing in there?
Water and grass.
So then why did he do all the work?
I can't answer that. But
Was the dam leaking?
I'm sorry, what?
Was the dam leaking?
Not per their report.
The first time we were noticed of the violation was the filling of the spillway. When we were notified.
Well, that was the big deal, I understand that.
Yep, that's the first time. To be honest with you, Mayor, that's the first time we were under the knowledge that we even were responsible for that dam.
We as an engineering.
We as an engineering and public works. That's the first time
You're responsible for that. We did the Bacon Creek project back in the 90s.
No, these were built in 1974, I believe.
Not the big one. But well, you're responsible for that whole Bacon Creek. You're responsible for it. I don't know how you didn't know that, because you're responsible for that whole spillway that starts way at the highway and comes all the way until it dumps into the Floyd. That's ours. That's all ours.
But we were not under knowledge, and that goes back to staff turnover and poor record keeping on the city. That goes way back before anyone that's here today.
Okay.
Kelly Bach was aware of it, and they have gone out and done some maintenance through parks maintenance, but as far as us knowing, it was a surprise to us when we got the notification and tracked it down. And we noted the letter we got from DNR for some reason is dated much earlier than we got it. We notified them within days of us receiving it. The engineering was, like Gordon said, they had to go back and find where the benchmark and everything and all the survey work to determine the quantities, because we're going to bid it out. We have to have quantities to bid out through our process.
So they've already done a bunch of this work that you're going to pay them for now? Or is it
No,
an addition?
no, this work now, this is in addition to
This is the
that.
inspection of their, one of the things
It's for
that,
the inspection.
one of the things the Mooses want to do is, you know, in our initial plan was to haul, to truck the dirt off, because we don't have the right to just dispose of dirt on their property. So they wanted to dispose of the dirt on their property to lower the cost. We did allow them to use the contractor they were already using. So we have to do, then they had to provide a grading plan, not for the removal of the dirt, a grading plan for where they wanted to dispose of the dirt. And we have to make sure it's compacted properly and make sure they don't need a fill addendum and all that. So that's where the expense for their grading plan came in. And we now have the expense of the inspection to watch that contractor, make sure it's properly compacted.
So are we bidding this project? Because now you can.
No, they did the work on that. We did not bid the project out. We allowed them to use their contractor that they already were using to do grading on their side.
We went through the whole design process because we hadn't heard from them. And right before we were going to bid this out, they came to us and we talked to them and they said they wanted to do the construction. That's when we gave them the quote of the $208,000. That was just an estimate, the engineer's estimate. At that point, they said, can we do the work ourselves? And I said, as long as it's a licensed contractor, we have to do the inspection.
So you want how much money from them now? 30 some?
It's going to be in the neighborhood, a little over 40 by the time you add the 25% admin fee.
I would love to be in the business where I could add a 25% admin fee. Do you allow contractors a 25% admin fee? Because I don't know, I don't remember ever seeing that on a bid document and a change order where you allowed that kind of admin fee.
We do it to every person that gets a sidewalk assessment.
I just asked the question, do you?
No, they're allowed a 10% on every, so a contractor.
That's right.
You want to go on a
I agree with
contractor,
10%.
if a sub of a sub of a sub, each one of those people gets 10% added onto their bill.
No, they don't, but go ahead.
Hope Moose, 3655 Correctionville Road. I just wanted to, I'm glad that he brought up the fact when I went to my first meeting with them, he admitted they knew nothing about even knowing anything about owning the city with this pond whatsoever. So therefore, there has been nothing done on this pond. It was full of cars. There's actually still a car sitting there that Gordon knows that's there because he gave us a little side note of all the stuff that needed done, and that was the car that was in the pond that the city should have been responsible for. But yet we were told that that's our responsibility. And here's the thing with this whole pond thing, if you could see how beautiful it is now that we've redone it, it's almost a slap in the face. Like, no one is like, oh, that's really nice. Thanks a lot for going out of the way and doing the job of Sioux City should have done years ago. I don't care if there's been a change of employees. That's not my fault that there's been turnover over turnover or whatever the excuses of why we don't know why the city owned or should have been taking care of this pond. I can't believe the first meeting I went to with them, I was informed that DGR has been hired. We weren't asked, are you okay to spend $30,000 on this? Is there someone else you'd like to use? The big excuse is that we never respond to them and whatever. We have emails to show the response of that stuff. I just feel, and it specifically says from the DNR, we did not need to have an engineer draw up plans. She was even nice enough to say, when it got done, if you just want to take some snap pictures, I'll be back in 2 years, but if you just want to snap some pictures, send them to me so I can look at them and see how they are. She said, that's wonderful. She was great. She's like, we want to work with you. We want these things to be nice. We want this pond, actually lake, to be what it's supposed to be. And she was appreciative, like, this is really great that you guys have done this. And then we go to this meeting and I'm told that I'm automatically going to owe this $30,000, and I got this sheet of paper that I owe, it's going to be $208,000. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have $208,000 sitting around that I can just, I don't have $30,000 sitting around to pay for an engineer who also, if you could look at the plans, it isn't just about the spillway. They challenged where we put our other things on our property, things that are above the spillway. We've since then talked with them and talked with DNR. The city has nothing to do with what is above the spillway and what we need to remove or to take dirt or to do all these things that they're telling us that we have to do. I just more wanted you to know the side of, it's frustrating to be told that we didn't know we own this, so you're on your own, and now you're gonna pay, now it's what, 40,000 plus a 25%? And I question the 25%, like, is that like a do we have to, that seems ridiculous to me. The higher the amount this comes, the more the 25% obviously is. And then 30,000 was supposed to be, oh, that is probably gonna be it, and now you're telling me it's another, what, $20,000, $10,000, $30,000? Because my contractor I hired, which was approved by them, had to be babysat by DGR to come out whenever he was there. They wouldn't even, he couldn't even come on my property to look at it. So that's what I have to say, and I hope that you can see where the frustration lies. Thank you.
The only correction I want to make is the letter we did get, what she told them in the letter told us we had to hire an engineer, and we can provide that to you.
Okay, then we're not gonna, Sam, we're not gonna do it that way. We're not gonna do it that way.
So we can provide you a copy of that.
Well, I do think the city has some responsibility. I'm sure not everybody's gonna agree with me. And I think a 25% fee is totally unacceptable. You wouldn't let a contractor anywhere get away with that kind of fee, and you shouldn't. So for us to expect that we're that good that we should be getting a 25% fee, for me, is not acceptable. What's the total bill they owe today with your 25%?
It'll be $39,500 plus 25%.
Well, I probably won't even get a second, but I'm gonna move that the Mooses are only responsible for $20,000. And my logic is the city has some responsibility for this spillway that we have neglected. And it's unacceptable that we don't know what the heck we're responsible for around here. And we should be penalized for our bad paperwork. I don't feel like they should pay anything, but they caused some of the problems, whether they believe it or not. So I think we've caused some too. I think there's culpability on both parties. So I hope I get a second. If I don't, then I'll just vote no on the motion. So
Wouldn't they have come to us with some of that too? I mean, if they thought that it was ours or that we were.
he just said he got a DNR report from 2018. He just said that.
No, he said they've been inspecting it 2018.
When did you and you're telling me the DNR doesn't send you those reports?
No, I never got them.
Only because
I
we're out
asked
of
for it.
compliance, we got it. Is that right?
I don't buy that. I'm sorry, but.
Is that?
You received the letter because we were outside of compliance.
Because the spillway had been filled in. It hadn't been, it was functional. The previous inspection, after it was filled in, it was no longer functional.
So then they contacted you and said, hey.
That was the violation.
Is there a reason, I'll ask you guys, did you ask DNR why they didn't contact the landowner, which is you, with this problem? Why wouldn't they have contacted you directly?
There was actually a lot of confusion when I first talked to the DNR. She's like, "Well, you should have put the dam in your name." And anyway, after everybody, you guys have the dam. It's nothing. They can't respond to me at all. So everything goes straight to the city.
Right, but you caused
I don't want these guys signing.
Right, with the I was working with the
back.
NRCS, which is over, and that's who's
I know,
responsible
but
for that.
ultimately, you're the landowner, so I'm just
I
saying, is there a
understand that,
reason
yeah.
why they didn't say, hey, landowner, you made this dam?
Yeah,
problems.
well, I would think somebody would have contacted me for
I
sure.
know. I would
It
think
have
so,
been
too.
nice, yeah.
I would
It
think
would
so
have been
too.
long
I
before
question
we
that,
were-
right. I
but-
mean, we have lived in the country forever too, so I get the waterways, I get it. And I know people who have messed around with terraces and different things, and they got contacted right away.
And as far as the dam and condition of it, you can look on Beacon, the pictures are still so old, you can see the vehicles in there, you can see the overgrown trees. The water was maybe a foot deep, and most of it was just muck, stinky, weeded garbage. It was in terrible, terrible shape. And you still can see that, unless they've recently updated Beacon, you can look on it and
So now
see
that's gone
clearly.
from being a pond to a lake?
And it wasn't functioning as, it was just a marsh. It was just, but now we've gotten probably 3/4 to a quarter, acre of water in it that's holding. It's not leaking out, so we feel like we repaired. I spent a ridiculous amount of money to repair that again, and just to, I would think I would be getting a thank you more than how bad can we hurt Sam Moose? And that's what I feel like
Well,
that's
and
their
Sam,
whole
I
agenda.
don't think that's,
I promise you it is, but to
so
a point of
sick of
lies and,
accusations.
but anyway, that's, and I don't say that lightly.
All right,
You do say it lightly, but
For clarification, I believe we can do the mayor's motion. It would be amending the resolution currently before council to approve the amendment number 1 for the contract, and then amend the resolution to state that staff should not submit a bill of more than $20,000.
no, it can come back, but I don't want, what happens around here is you don't bring that back to us. You just send the Mooses a bill. That's what happens. You've never brought it back and said, can we bill Sam Moose $39,000? Because you assume in that resolution that you can do it. Because you've never, I've been here a long time, longer than you by a long shot and longer than anybody else. We've never done it that way. Once you put that in a resolution, you assume that that's what's going to happen. And if that's what happens, that's what happens. I don't want to be voting that today. So you're the lawyer. You tell us how we got to do it.
maybe it'd be better if we just defer this item and
No, I think these guys are ready to vote for DGR to get paid. I know where my vote's going to be on it, so.
it can be deferred if you want to have more conversation.
I
know
personally
why
don't
that's
think
a
we have
problem.
enough information. I would like to see some images. If there's cars, grown, what state it was in, I'd like to know that personally. If we received a letter from IDNR demanding that there, be an entire design worked up, and I'd like to see that too.
Yep.
I feel like we don't have enough.
We can provide that.
we can provide that. And understand that the cost we're talking about is strictly about the spillway work. What they did prior to the
Not about the pond.
violation and what they fixed in the pond by NRCS's recommendation, that isn't what we're talking about. We're talking
That
about,
doesn't matter though, Dave. That thing needed to have work done to it.
It should have.
We should have known that. We should have known that.
Who's responsible for the pond?
What?
Who's responsible for the pond?
we own the dam.
We own
Oh,
the dam.
we own the whole dam, okay.
We own all those dams out.
Yep. There's, how many of them?
4. There's 4 dams. And we're responsible for the dams, not so much the trash that's around them.
How many more out there have cars in them? We should probably
None in
figure
the
that out.
reports. And there was none on the past reports for this one either.
I move we deferred.
Second. That'd be our August meeting then, correct?
August 7th?
August 7th, yeah, because we don't meet on the 31st. I have one quick question, Mayor, though. Gordon, about 5 minutes ago, you started to make a remark about the 39,500.
Yes.
You were interrupted. Do you remember what your thought was on?
That is just for the inspection that his contractor is doing now, who still is working out there. So DGR still needs to be paid. This has got nothing to do with who's getting the bill. This RCA.
Okay.
But if the resolution states in there that they're getting it billed, I think that needs to be adjusted before, and we can pass
So
the,
is that just for the spillway, the engineering?
yes.
And for the seating, no, we did have to check other stuff too, because they had us check all of it.
I thought.
But see, you're talking about seating of the grading area,
Yeah.
not seating in the pond or,
Well, no, they wanted the pond seeded too.
oh, okay.
Because it wasn't seeded when they were inspected.
Yeah. It includes more than just the spillway. Call the roll.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. D is a resolution authorizing an agreement with IDOT and BNSF Railway for a railroad signal safety project. F is a resolution authorizing a sidewalk construction and maintenance agreement and easement agreement with BNSF Railway for the Court Street sidewalk reconstruction. 12 are applications for beer and liquor license. 13 are boards, commission, and committee minutes. Anyone to be heard on any of those items? Call the roll, please.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
14 is a motion selecting 6 of the following 8 applicants for the Human Rights Commission. Mr. O'Kane.
I would make a motion to put forward all of the female applicants Paula Crandell, Mandy, I'm sorry in advance if I get a name wrong, Mandy Engel-Carty, Terry McGaffin, Maggie Swain, and Valerie Yukon.
There's a second.
And I just wanted, yeah, there can be a second. I guess the discussion I just have is just if there was a reason, or could you explain that again to me? I thought some parts of it, but I just didn't understand.
Left one
If
male
you thought
off.
those were the best.
There's one male that got left off the list.
And it needs to be done for gender balance.
Yes, and that's be done for gender balance, but the reason they're not voting on a male is it's been brought to the clerk's attention that she left one off the list.
So we'll choose the male the next time.
So to be fair to all the males,
Oh, so we're able to do all of the females now, and then next.
because you
meeting
need
we-
five,
We'll
Next
choose one
meeting
of
we would
3
vote.
of the males.
one,
We only need 1, right?
yeah, for gender
of-
balance. You need 5 females for gender.
It's a question whether you agree with the 5 that were in the motion.
You could do 4 and 2, yeah.
We can do 4?
Mhm.
It says 4 and 2.
4 and 2. Okay.
5 of the females.
Because your thought is that those 5 are the best as far as now, and then once we add the list, the 1 male, then we'll decide between them, because they won't all be able to be approved. Is that correct?
Right, just 1 of the 3.
Okay, well, I guess I wouldn't be a fan of that, just because I think that there are a number of gentlemen that would be good, or you know what I mean, that might have more diverse experience than others, and I'm saying that as I'm friends with a lot of the people on this list that have applied. I just think that there are some gentlemen there that I would probably vote for more than one of the women at least.
So do you want to defer until they correct it?
Yeah, I would prefer to have the whole list to be able
Yeah,
to go
that's
off
fine.
of, but that's,
Or you could do
You gotta-
4 females now.
I would rather wait for the full list, and then I can at least just say this is kind of the slate that I would go from, and then we see the last one male, and then we can kind of judge off of the
Okay, well,
best.
there is a motion and a second, so he needs to withdraw his motion if that's the case.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Second,
Withdraw in a second.
okay?
So what are we doing on that? They'll come back August 7th?
Correct, so I would move to defer this. Well, but is it deferring this one, or you're going to?
The corrected list will be coming back, right?
We can bring it back corrected on August 7th.
Okay, thank you. I would defer this then till August 7th.
Second?
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott,
Abstain. 15 is a motion appointing.
Waters,
Oh, sorry, I thought he voted, sorry, Alex. 15 is a motion appointing 2 of the following 6, well, it'd be 5 because we changed the other. 5 of the 6 applicants to the wastewater treatment plant reconstruction and design advisory committee. Mr. O'Kane.
And I would move to appoint William Bradbury, Mark Fuhrer, Carl Hess, Craig Levine, and Dale McKinney.
Is there a second?
Second?
Keep going through this so quickly. I never know whether to allow the motion and second first or discussion first. So can talk to me about.
You normally want to get a motion and a second on the floor to have the discussion.
Deal.
Yeah.
Well, no, I would, yeah, can you
The
talk to me
purpose-
about some of your thoughts?
So Matt Hoffman serves on another board or commission already. He's the only one that does. Also, during the interview, he'd made a point to say that if there were other interested candidates, to go with them. And so we felt like that was just the easiest route to go. Not speaking against his expertise by any means.
No, I
do not
appreciate
wanna
it, and
say
I
that
thought
Matt
the same
Hoffman
thing
would be bad
about,
for it.
and I thought the same thing about serving on another committee. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
We were on the same page, I understand.
So I thought maybe your question might be, would there be additional, since we amended the makeup of the committee,
Yeah.
would there be additional,
Or do we just take, yeah. what we
Applicants.
have, But yeah.
I don't know if you had a concern about that or not.
Oh, because we just did it on the last one,
Yes,
because he wants.
on the earlier amendment.
But we don't,
We don't
I'm
have the
just asking.
We don't have the
Yeah.
applicants that yet to hold them up to compare. Right?
So we have all the applicants we're going to get?
I don't think so, now that we're expanding it by 3 more.
What's the question?
Do we have all the applicants we are going to get for the,
I would think so. It's been several weeks.
It has, yeah.
It's been since this was deferred. We haven't gotten anything new since before July 10th, and the week before was the last interview. It's been a month-ish.
I mean, I think we have a good list. I'm comfortable with who. Unless people want to get an opportunity now that we've expanded.
Call the roll, please.
good with it?
I'll call the roll. Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
I said I was going to abstain on this item and everything about it, and I will continue to do that. Abstain.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Recommendations of Planning and Zoning, 16 is a resolution approving the final plat of Townley addition. The petitioner is David Townley. I'll move that.
Second?
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
17 is a resolution approving the final plat of the residence at Elk Creek. The petitioner's Elk Creek Development. I'll move that.
Second?
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. 18 is a resolution approving the First Amendment to the agreement for maintenance of a stormwater detention system with Elk Creek Development. I'll move that.
Second?
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
19 is a hearing and resolution sending to the request to annex land into the city, the property at 1200 block of 235th Street. The petitioner is the Dorothy Moore Family Trust. I'll move that.
Second?
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard on this item? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
We have a title description wrong on 20 through 23, but I'll go one at a time to satisfy the requirements of the city attorney, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to move we defer item 20.
Second?
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye. Is that to the August 7th date as well?
They'll have to just bring it back.
Motion to-
We're motion to
Oh,
delete.
motion to delete.
Sorry.
I'll second that.
Thought I made it to delete. Did I make it to defer?
To defer.
Oh, well, then call the roll on the delete then.
On 21, Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
What item? What item?
21.
21.
Don't we have to delete? Tiffany?
She said this.
Oh,
We didn't, yeah, but we didn't vote on deleting. We voted on.
deferring.
Ask the question.
think
Do
we need a-
21, we'll go back to 20. Let's get 20.
So on 21,
Okay.
Let's
aye.
get 21.
21, aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Now 20, I moved to delete.
Second.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
22, I moved to delete.
Second.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
23, I moved to delete.
Second.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
24 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the 41st Street Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
25 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the Headington Park Splash Pad Project. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard?
Angel, I do have a question about that. I had the figures pulled up. I know that we previously voted to kind of piece it out, so everything except for like the water piece of it. But I noticed like in the reserves, this was around and don't quote me on this because I don't have my notes up, but it was around 400 of what we had in reserve for it. And my question was, is that going to leave enough reserves to be able to complete the project when we bid the next piece out?
Yeah, Angel Wallace, Sioux City Parks and Recreation Manager. Yes, our budget is for the entire project. The $400,000 will cover construction. The rest of the funding will cover the aquatic amenities.
Okay, all right.
But
Do we know
yes,
when
we
that?
do have a, so
'cause there
when
was
we
no-
do the contract for the construction, we're going to also have the purchase of the equipment on the same agenda.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Okay. Call the roll, please. Hearing's closed. Call the roll, please.
Got it. Waters,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. 26 is a resolution accepting an offer of sale of land from LG Evers for property at 1718 to 1910 18th Street and 1770 Steuben Street. I'll move that.
Second.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
27 is a resolution approving assignment of the city of Sioux City of a purchase and sale agreement between MSI Real Estate and Bogus Inc. for the land at 4812 46th Street. I'll move that.
Second.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Mayor, if I
Yes.
could, before you go to citizen concerns, I just want to back up to the committee. As far as wastewater, I know it's on the consent agenda, number 7, but I know you abstained from the committee vote of when we expanded, but I didn't know if that was going to include all things with that, and I just wanted clarification, because you're listed to join the committee, and if then you said in the last vote that we just had that you want to abstain on anything surrounding this item. I just want to make sure you want to
Said
serve
that to the city
on this.
manager early in the process, that I just abstain and not ask questions about it. Did I not, Mr. Padmore?
But I guess I'm just asking why that is, because you have the most informed opinion representing on this council.
Well, we'll see how that works out at that particular point in time. But I told Bob on any item that came forward on that I would abstain.
On anything on the wastewater treatment plant?
On formation of the committee, where's Mr.?
I think he just left. That's
Okay,
Committee, I think itself, and the makeup of it.
right.
okay, just the committee and the makeup, because I just want you to be, I just really value your opinion. You've went through this, you know a lot of the sticking points that happened on the last one, so I want to make sure this goes well and.
No, I just said I
You'll
would
be able-
abstain on anything that had to do with the committee, okay?
Okay.
And the agenda item 7, Mr. Padmore, correct me if I'm wrong, the committee will be the Design Advisory Committee. Design Advisory Committee. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted that.
Shorten the name of it, that's all.
Okay, anything else before we go to citizens?
No.
Thank you, Alex.
Citizen concerns. Seeing none, we'll go to council.
Well, went to George Thorogood. It was an amazing show. That was probably one of the. Down at the Orpheum. And it was pretty amazing. Really enjoyed it. We had a lot of visitors. Our town swelled this last weekend. So it was great to see.
Where was that? I'm sorry.
For RAGBRAI. Oh, George Thorogood was at the Orpheum.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I think RAGBRAI was a huge success. I'm waiting to hear from more of the downtown business areas. Julie, I'm sure you probably have some inside information about how well sales went down there. It definitely seemed like the city was very busy. Even when I went to Hy-Vee in the middle of the afternoon, they were jam-packed, so they were getting everywhere. Because we won't have another meeting before it, August 1st will be the National Night Out. And that is, it happens every year, and we split up the locations that we go to. Not sure if everybody had a chance to.
8 locations.
Yep.
I'll have Gabby reach out so that we.
She already did.
She did,
Did she?
yep.
Okay.
Yep, so we'll be splitting up those locations. Each of us will have at least a couple that we'll go to. So if you see us at one park, know that we wish we could be everywhere, but we can't be everywhere at once. So we'll probably each take 2 parks and make the rotations around. And that's everything that I got.
I just want to add to that, Matthew. Part of the reason for that is if you're actually going to have a meaningful visit at these locations, it takes at least a half an hour to 45 minutes. And National Night Out is what, a 2-hour block, I think it is, 6 to 8. So that's the reasoning behind that. So I just want to make sure we're not offending anybody by dividing them up. So we have all the.
And you can't have more than 2 meals in a night.
Well, I could.
Depends if it's ice cream.
You can't have more than 2 at a deal, is what he's saying, 2 council members at the same time, technically.
Oh, I thought you said meals.
Meals.
He said meals.
Oh, meals, yeah,
I'll take some home.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he asked for it in a foil
doggy
wrap,
bag.
so he can take it home to his wife. Are we gonna then just send Gabby where we think we wanna go and
Yeah,
make sure?
I already have, and I think Matthew already responded as well.
Where did you guys go?
I picked Latham because I picked Lutheran Church in Riverside, but Matthew already snagged.
You got Latham, and what else?
That's all I have right now.
You got Riverside?
And Cook.
My mornings.
And where?
I didn't know it was yours.
Cook, okay.
I'll go anywhere.
Well, you
Put
got-
it this way, the most accessible ones that,
You
because
got-
I've went to a couple that are challenged.
There's another one out in
before.
Morningside.
Well, St. Mark's is, right? St. Mark's Lutheran right on Glen Ave.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You
I
want-
I'll
went
work
there.
with Gabby to make sure we have it balanced so that we
Yeah.
have somebody everywhere.
But that'd be a good one for
I've went there, yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody respond to the email then.
and I'll do the one on Jackson Street, St. John's. And I'll do Dale if nobody wants to do it.
I think Dale was the one where I had trouble with.
Dale would be tough for
Accessibility
you.
last time.
Yeah, because you gotta park quite a ways away. more.
Yeah. Yep.
Julie?
Again, RAGBRAI, I want to commend staff. I want to say thank you to all the volunteers. It is a lot of work. Alex and I were on that executive committee, watching the plans be made, time after time, and the amount of work, the manpower hours, physical, mental, lots of homework for people to do outside of their normal business hours. A lot of people had jobs, and they were putting in extra time. And it turned out really, really well. I live not too far from where they're heading out of town, and it was fun to watch everyone, turn the corner and head up Outer Drive as they headed towards D12. We had a lane dedicated to them, so it went smooth and it seemed very safe. I also think they turned some of the traffic lights off to slow the traffic down, and I felt the impact of that when I went on my way. I was going to Sioux Falls. So very smart. I think we really gave a lot of thought and put a lot of intentional markers in place, to ensure being protected, et cetera. The trash was managed well. We had tons of extra trash bins downtown. I did have an inside to downtown businesses, and they kind of set up a plan B, so if the lot was too full at the Tyson, or if someone didn't enjoy that kind of music or it wasn't their thing, they could go, to a mom and pop business and go downtown. There was entertainment down there. I know I saw Alex, I saw Dan. So, and one of the business owners told me it was absolutely a record-setting night for revenue, although the evening wasn't over yet. So it looked like everyone was behaving. I love to see those things in our historic district on the street. I think that they're managed well. I think it's safe. And I do hear an outcry from public for that. They really enjoy being outdoors, having their beer, having their pop, their wine, whatever they're doing, and listening to the music. We don't have that great of weather too long, so appreciate that. And I guess that's it.
I just wanted to, I reached out to Matt Salvatore earlier in the day because number one, wanted to make sure that he was at least taking a little time to rest because I think he went extraordinarily above and beyond the normal call of duty to really take the helm of this RAGBRAI effort that I think was honestly a wild success, at least from an outsider's point of view. I know that there was a lot to it, but I just really want to thank Matt. And I asked him if he would send me a list of the chairs, the committee chairs and the co-chairs, because I think that that's what's important too, is to recognize the Herculean effort that really went into this type of an event and all the people that took such an active role. And I just said that not only do I want to recognize obviously Matt and some of those other members of staff that I thought really took time out of their everyday full-time job to be able to do this. I wanted to recognize these individuals as well. So if I know, Mayor, I'll try to get through in 3 minutes or less, but I have the list of approximately 30-some names. So I
have
like
the list?
I do. So like Julie said, I served on the advisory committee. Then we have Ann Westra that was served on publicity. Barbara Sloniker was on marketing and communications. And I guess I can say their positions. Ann was the chair of the publicity committee. Barb was the executive chair of marketing and communications. Bill Lane was actually the chair of RAGBRAI. Mr. Padmore served on the advisory committee as well. Nick Palmiotti, is that how you pronounce it? I haven't never heard him say it. Palmiotti, thank you. There's no L. Palmiotti. So it was special events executive chair. Chad Schmidt was the entertainment and special events chair. Chris Groves, law enforcement, chair, thank you, sorry, read the wrong line. Cindy Brewer was information center co-chair. Dick Billings, fundraising chair. Dick Laurie, volunteer co-chair. Don Armstrong with the county was very assistive. Jason Allen, transportation co-chair. Jessica Felix was here for IDOT, which we greatly appreciated. Jim Hayden with medical was the chair. John Burns was shower, sanitation, recycling, hospitality chair and co-chair. Julie again. Then Katie Vondrak was food and non-food vendors chair. Katie also served as the chair for the beer garden, which we appreciate. And then Christy Franz was on the advisory committee. Lila Plambeck was hospitality co-chair. Mark Aesop was public safety executive co-chair. Matt Salvatore, as I mentioned, was the executive chair. Rachel Eskins, also with Parks and Rec, was the campground chair. Mike Collette, transportation co-chair. Mike Montino, yep, I'm gonna go with that. Communications co-chair. Mindy Coe with the highway patrol. Molly Bixman with housing, she was the chair. Reagan was on the advisory committee as well. Ray DeWitt with electric was the chair. Ryan Collins, public safety executive co-chair. Sarah with the city was budget chair, which we appreciate. Sue Chartier with information co-chair. Tim Jacobs, volunteer co-chair. Thomas Ritchie was the chair of Web and Social, and Wendy Hess was communications co-chair. And I think what is struck to me was just all of the different individuals and different areas that had to be covered. And one of you said it, that it was just done so well that I think people were really focused on having a good time. And in addition to all of these individuals that made it possible, I want to thank really the riders of RAGBRAI that were in our community, because I tell you what, I called it an early night. I actually went home around 10 p.m., but before I did, I drove around to all of the campgrounds that we had designated, all of the spaces. I wanted to make sure that people looked safe and that they were all right. And especially out at like Riverside Park, you could not, there wasn't a square foot where I didn't see a tent, which was wild. And then I was like, I don't know how you find your way to a porta pot, let alone find it back to your own tent. I'm like, I would have had to have a beacon or something
I
on
drove
there.
by there too, and it was like a city.
I was
Little
blown
compact
away.
city. Yeah.
So it was super compact. And then I got up the next morning, and at 10 a.m., I made the same loop, and I went past every single area where we had campers, and there wasn't any trash.
Not a scrap.
The only thing I saw was the trash that was heaping into the dumpsters, or it was neatly placed around the dumpsters. And I don't know if that was city staff or our parks crews, anyone that went out, or if it was the riders themselves, but I was just really, really impressed, because I know there are a lot of public that don't treat our community that way or don't treat our parks that way. And so I just wanted to thank them especially for that as well. Pat, I see you in the back. I wanted to give you and the Public Works team a shout out as well. I don't know if it was you and your team or your direction with the asphalt out there, but it was noticed. And if you'll tell those individuals that we really appreciate that too, because I was looking around and anywhere where there was a bump, anywhere where there was a lip or a potential where something a tire would catch, it was filled. And I saw that all over. It was in Morningside, it was around that area, it was on my way to and from home, it was as I drove around to all the different campsites. It was even the lip getting out of Tyson Event Center, where the little area where they would be able to go in and out was filled with asphalt, so it wasn't too much of a lip. And I just think like everything was noticed, everything was managed, and I know a lot of work went into it, but gosh, at the Tyson Event Center, that event went really well. The only thing I could have prayed for, I guess, would have been a little cooler weather, because I don't know about everyone else, but I got a little hot in the Tyson parking lot. But I found a little cool air in the long lines, and so I was thankful that that was open. I got a report. I reached out to both our fire chief, as well as our chief of police. And I know they'll be doing a more extensive debrief here soon and being able to put together some recommendations for the future. But by and large, I mean, they said besides medical, things that maybe could have been expected with that amount of people and things like that, and especially when you're talking accidents or people take tumbles, I don't think it was anything exceptional as far as accidents or trouble. So I apologize. It took me a long time to get through all this, but I was just so proud again. And then to just have that type of presence for this anniversary here, it was cool to know that we were able to make that impact and really get RAGBRAI off on the right foot. I would also give Reagan, Carly, and Becky, and all the others a shout out for July Jam that Julie was talking about on 4th Street. I made sure to check out both of those because I have FOMO, so I have to go to everything, otherwise I'm gonna feel like I missed out. So I went down on 4th Street for a while as well, and I know those restaurants were really happy to have that, and a lot of the bands felt that they had a good showing as well. So it was a great coordinated effort, and just I'm really thankful. It was a great weekend for Sioux City.
It's a really proud time for our city. The city looked great. We had volunteers out pre-picking up trash to make sure that, everything was cleaned up. And this event wasn't easy for us to get either. It wasn't just a given. Our team had to go over there and present and kind of fight for it. So I'm glad that the reward was realized.
That's for sure. And I just thought, sitting on the tourism board, and one of the things I think about all the time is just the people from all over that come through our city, whether it's for a convention or for, just visiting or anything like that, and what they're going to tell people when they leave, or, what their experience was. And I think by and large, the stuff that I heard and that I was trying to monitor online in some of the RAGBRAI discussion groups was by and large really supportive and thankful for the people of Sioux City. So we all should be proud. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Moore?
We were shining like a diamond with RAGBRAI. I agree with all the comments that have been made. And Alex, I appreciate your taking the time to do that. In fact, I appreciate it so much, I think we should make a commendation with those names that we could give a copy to everyone and show our appreciation. And maybe even send it to the headquarters of RAGBRAI to let them know what Sioux City did. Captain Bertrand's here. One thing, you can always measure how you do in a community on an event by what people say about Sioux City and people in Sioux City. I had more comments with the Sioux City Police Department's presence at the event and they would come up to me and they'd say, your officers are so polite, they're so courteous, and they care about us. And it was just really, it was really outstanding to have those comments made about the police. And I'm just putting it out there because it was, and I was proud, and I also felt the security of the presence of the Sioux City Police that were there. So I can't say enough about that. I had to have at least a couple of dozen people that I knew a couple of them, but most of them I didn't know, and I was wearing my Sioux City city council shirt, so they noticed that, and they said, we want to say something about your police officers, and, you just kind of tighten up, but it was all positive.
Thank you. Thank you. I had, you just prompted a comment in me. Kudos Captain Groves. He did the bulk of
Captain
the
Groves, too. I
bulk
didn't
of the
mean to leave
police
you out.
planning. And it makes me think of a SWAT analogy. When we do operations on SWAT, we have two operations. Emergency operations, where we're responding to it's on fire and it's a go. And the other one is a pre-planned operation, which we know the time and the place and when we're going to go and what we're going to do. This RAGBRAI was a pre-planned op for the police department. So we take a lot of credit in it being quiet and you not hearing about stuff and people being in the right places ahead of time and stuff, that resources we had ready to roll that we didn't even need to break out. So, good presence, good dispersion of resources, good coverage. So kudos Captain Groves for a good plan. And
I agree.
I'll agree. I'll save the chief's final brief, but yeah, like what you said, medical calls was the bulk of it. There was one bike theft that we know of that I can think of right off the top of my head that was an expensive bike, but it was solved with an air tag. So that was quickly wrapped up. So.
For this person who worries about everything, about a week before I asked your chief, Captain Groves and Captain Bertrand, I asked your chief, I said, what are the plans? I just wanted to know what the plans were for whatever. And the chief sent me a very long email outlining what you just said. And
excellent, good.
We were prepared. And the officer that we had, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name, at Cheyenne and Outer Drive, excellent service directing traffic and helping people find the alternate routes. You would just think that everybody would know coming down Cheyenne, it's going to be blocked for about 3 hours, but they didn't. His calmness, his explanation. He was the one that just came back from Poland, and he just did a marvelous job. And he had one incident with I think a motorist that was just kind of testing whether they could just shoot across, and he worked just unbelievably calm and good, and people noticed that. So thank
you very much.
Yeah, and Captain Groves, thank you too for all your good work. I think that's all I have. I'm trying to think what we have since we don't have a meeting a week from today. I was just trying to think what we have, and I think Mr. O'Kane covered that with the National Night Out, which is really important. Oh, I know what it was. On behalf of the mayor and the city council, I personally welcomed the spin doctors to Sioux City, Iowa, and shook their hand and said, if there's anything we can provide, anything we can do for you, we're here to serve. And they put on a great concert. And they've been together, that group has been together since 1986. So that's all I have, sir.
Well, thank you for all that you guys did, because I was on vacation, and I'm glad I was on vacation. So you guys did a great job from what I saw. I was too busy at my own house with 140 campers and at my church with 110 or 12 campers, but we tried to be good hosts. The only thing I'll remember next time is that the bikes go by my house. And I didn't get my coffee real early Sunday morning because I couldn't get out of my driveway, even though I had backed in. And
I was going to say, when I drove the route, I didn't know that it was going past your
well,
house.
I should have remembered it because it was the
and
last time they did it to me, and I should have remembered, and I didn't.
I
So,
was laughing when I drove by, and I was like, yeah, you're not getting out.
so from what I saw, you guys did a great job. The committee did a great job, and Matt and his staff did a great job of getting the parks ready. So kudos to everybody that had a part in it, and I know there were lots of citizens besides your committee.
I was going to say, well, and those were just the chairs, you know what I mean? You imagine the committee members.
When I did sneak out between bikes, my neighbor kind of shooed me for doing that, and she had one of those orange vests on telling me that I basically shouldn't have done that. But anyway, with that, I'll move we adjourn.
You were on a bike, weren't you?
No, I was not on a bike.
He was trying to, join the row.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
I have to run.